With the upcoming Deadpool and Wolverine film, I thought it was only right to go ahead and platinum the Deadpool game. But there's one issue. The game has not only been delisted once, but twice, meaning it's incredibly rare and as a result costs a fortune. Fortunately for us all, I managed to get my hands on a copy for a fairly reasonable price. But before we properly get into it, I did just want to say that I really did not enjoy this game. It might not show in this video, but my god, all I have to say is fuck this game. So with that said, I am now on a mission to platinum Deadpool, and in order to do so I have to earn a gold medal on 5 different challenge maps, but also complete the game's hardest difficulty, Ultra Violence, which left me feeling like this a lot of the time. All in an attempt to earn the game's 51 trophies. And speaking of trophies, we get our first 2 for just starting up the game and witnessing Deadpool use some of his persuasive ways in order to get his own game.
What? He said no? That was our chance to be in our own video game.
Maybe we shouldn't have written the proposal in crayon. Relax. You know he's gonna call back.
Oh yeah, because of the
Deadpool! Hey, it's Peter. You know, dickhead. Remember when I called you earlier and told you no? I'm such a joker, because I meant yes, of course!
Hey, what's that? You guys tracking my every move now? But I haven't even accomplished anything in this game yet.
And now that we have free reign of the apartment, what better way to spend it than to make 1,000 pancakes?
Smells like victory.
We then get a knock on the door and it turns out to be our script for a new game being made, but we're not too happy with it. So after a quick makeover, the game truly begins. We start off down in the sewers so the game can give us our tutorial, but our main objective as of now is to find a crime boss called Chance White. This leads us to fighting through a few waves of bad guys and even at one point manning a turret on a chopper before we eventually get our hands on White, crashing down into a bouncy castle we strategically placed earlier on. While Deadpool is arguing about the game's budget with High Moon, White manages to escape with who Deadpool describes as boring D-list villains. Speaking of which, we fight our first D-list villain, with this one being Arclight. Now there is actually a trophy tied to beating this boss without taking any damage, but because I played this game way back in May 2023, I'd actually already unlocked this trophy. But somehow none of the other trophies beforehand. It's a bit confusing, I know, but anyway, with that said, we managed to beat Arclight with no trouble.
Check us out, baby.
we can still work this out. You disgust me.
And then towards the end of the mission, we find ourselves sliding down a water slide, and after we take no damage, we get our next trophy.
Helping my stomach. What the?
After that, we finally catch up to White and the rest of the D-lists, but it turns out Sinister is here, and he decides to kill White. So in a fit of rage, Deadpool goes to confront Sinister, killing Vertigo and knocking out Blockbuster in the meantime. But this doesn't end well for us, as Sinister leaves us as nothing but a head. We awake to find Wolverine and some of the X-Men coming to our rescue, and after some daydreaming from Deadpool, we decide to head out on a Blackbird and stop Sinister plan whatever he is doing. The next level starts with the Blackbird we are using crashing, and in doing so leaves the entire crew apart from Deadpool unconscious. We tried to wake up Wolverine as we could do with his help.
Let's gently Oh, Wolvie, time to wake up.
Rise and shine, Stubby. Wake up. Man, I guess he's not waking up. Curious. Looks like we're flying solo, boys. It's as if the next second...
Moving later on in the level, Cable decides to brace us with his presence from the future, and we earn a trophy for learning who he is. Cable is here to give us a dire warning, but we find him extremely boring.
Damn it, Wade!
After waking up, we find a note from Cable saying to head to the north end of the city to meet our number one fan. And with one goal in mind, we head out, fighting through some of Sinister's goons and finally getting a chance to meet our number one fan.
Lo behold, number one fangirl is hot!
Now that Cable's finally managed to get our attention, he tells us that Sinister is actually at the top of his tower, and without listening to anything else Cable has to say, we set out to fight through some of Sinister's goons, making our way up to the tower to kill Sinister.
Hey, Summers! Was that the big problem you needed help with? Because I just took care of it. Like a boss! Huzzah. Wade, that wasn't... Seriously, roll credits. We're done here. Woo! That wasn't Sinister, that was a clone!
Okay, so it turns out the real Sinister is on Magneto's island, and to get there we have to use this Sentinel shoe that just happens to be sitting right next to us. Cable tells us that we need to get him 2 parts in order to get the shoe to work, so we set out to do so. After returning, the boot gets reprogrammed, but of course it all goes wrong, sending us flying across the map, beating the mission in the process, and earning a trophy for doing so.
Perfect timing. One of our finest moments. I did poop a little. All part of the plan. Sure were a lot of expensive setups in that level. Hope Peter's okay with the budget.
So it turns out the boot has sent us to the Geonosia prison, and here we have to save Rogue, who ends up getting captured by Blockbuster. There's not much to talk about in this level. We fight through some more Sinister's goons. This is before we end up stumbling across a surprise party thrown for us. And after interacting with all the girls in this party, we get the social butterfly trophy.
So, what are the chances I could get some play here?
Ew, go away. We're not into dudes.
Me neither, sweet cheeks.
But of course, the party isn't real, and it was all a trick, and we're now back to fighting Sinister's goons, back with the goal of rescuing Rogue. Along the way, however, we collect our 100th taco, earning the trophy Taco Savior. We end up finding Sinister again, and after successfully stealth killing him, but of course it's another clone, because why would the game make it that easy for you? At least you do unlock 2 trophies for doing so.
Pose for the camera, Mr. Silly.
Looks like we got here just in the nick of time.
The next section sees you take on Blockbuster, but the fight is so simple there's nothing really to say about it. We then rescue Rogue, but she uses her powers in order to become Lady Deadpool, and so enters probably the worst section in the game. You are tasked with fighting off a ton of Sinister's goons while playing as Lady Deadpool. This was one of the moments in the game where I started questioning myself on whether or not I actually wanted to finish it, but I did pull through eventually. And the mission ends with a bad grenade throw and Deadpool is sent flying down into the catacombs below. The next mission revolves around Death, and she knows a way of weakening Sinister's army, but of course this comes at a cost, and we now have to help Death out. This involves playing through 3 different sections called See No Evil, Hear No Evil and Speak No Evil, and while doing so we unlock a few trophies, the first of which sees us queuing up for a carnival ride, and while being patient throughout the entire queue we unlock the trophy Patience is Not a Virtue.
Better be something good for all this waiting. Yeah, boy! An award!
While we are on the ride, we get our next trophy. After getting a high score, we earn the Officially a Carney trophy. And later on we earn our next trophy. During one of the idle sections we have to stay in Death's light as the darkness that surrounds us deals damage, and it's here where we unlock 11 different chests for the trophy Digging in the Crates. We return the idols and finish off the mission, earning the trophy for doing so.
Hunger for release.
the catacombs can now begin.
This now brings us back onto the surface of Genosha, and this begins our final hunt for Sinister, as we fight our way through more of his goons so that we can find a way onto Magneto's island. Again, there's not really much to talk about with this level, apart from sheer stupidity of the ultra violence difficulty. But what's new there? Towards the end of the mission, we are faced with a classic Call of Duty style slow motion breach section, and after we manage to complete said breach in 10 seconds or less, we get the I Can Open Doors trophy.
Cue that slow shooter. It's my favorite bullet. Can you send it back? Or just don't lose it. Cue that slow.
At the end of the level, we find an ET style bike and fly our way to Magneto's island, unlocking the trophy for beating the mission. This then brings us onto the final mission of the game, and although the difficulty has definitely ramped up at this point, this mission itself was pretty simple. Once again, it just revolves us fighting through a ton of bad guys before we then have to fight literal waves of enemies, and at times in unfair fashion. We then also have to fight Vertigo, Blockbuster and Arclight once again, but this time all at the same time, again showing how brutally unfair this game can be. And if that wasn't bad enough, the final showdown with Sinister himself sees us not fighting just one of him, but multiple. I cannot stress how unfair this game could be on the hardest difficulty. After a lot of struggles, we finally managed to beat Sinister, unlocking the final few trophies of the first run.
Enough! Giving you the glory after we did all the work.
Just push your button to execute on.
So after beating the game, we had 24 out of the 51 trophies available. So this then means a lot of cleanup was needed. And we started with one of the easiest trophies in the game, as all we had to do was set the dialogue volume down to 0. But not all trophies we had remaining were that easy, as for the next 3 we had to jump into the challenge modes. Now these ones weren't tricky as such, they were just a bit of a grind, as for one of the 3 trophies related to the challenge modes, we had to earn a gold medal on 5 different maps, with each map starting on a bronze medal and consisting of 3 waves. This meant every map had to be beat a total of 9 times. But whilst going for this trophy, we unlocked a trophy for comboing an entire wave while on a gold medal map. And shortly after that, we then unlocked another trophy, this time for completing a silver or gold challenge map, whilst also comboing 25 times.
What can you do with 10 seconds?
And then after about 45 minutes of grinding out a few maps, we got the Gold Rush trophy. This then leads us up to the miscellaneous cleanup of the story trophies, and we start back in Deadpool's apartment so we can interact with some more things. Now these range from just watching TV, taking a nap, eating some pizza, this, and we finally end it all after taking a massive steamy shit, which is exactly how I feel about this game.
Much more realistic. Fine, you asked for this. Oh, you gotta love the ones that make you sweat.
And before we continue, we decide that now is the perfect time to fully upgrade Deadpool, and after doing so we get the unbalanced trophy. Which is exactly how I feel about this game's stupid ultra violence difficulty, because at times it just seems like... We're now back in the first mission of the game, so we can now attempt to get these two trophies on your screen. Which honestly, neither of them caused us any issues, as we end up getting our 40 combo.
Where could they be? Momentum, why are we here again?
Aha! We're getting paid off some billionaire douche nozzle.
That'd be medium mogul Chance White.
And just on our best speedrunning attempt for the next trophy. It was then time to move on to the next trophy. After the boss fight with Arclight, you meet Vertigo, another one of the D-list villains. She does some weird voodoo shit, making Deadpool all disorientated, and for this trophy we just need to flick 3 switches and defeat 2 enemies all within 60 seconds.
There's one.
Let the game! God, you guys are ugly. Who the hell were they supposed? And there's the other one. Dummy Vertigo! You got time for a hot makeout sesh? Hey, come back, guys. We only want to kill you a little bit.
We then move on to the mission at Genosha, where we can get 3 trophies. The first for beating the first portion of the mission by only using hammers and pulse rifles, which, playing on the easiest difficulty using 2 of the strongest weapons fully upgraded in the game, was not a challenge at all. We then had to stealth our way for the next trophy, as it required us to eliminate 4 enemies with stealth attacks in this section.
Whoa! Gonna need a mop up over here!
And finally, the last trophy sees us having to shoot some balloons and a cow, because of course we have to shoot a cow. Why wouldn't we?
Says we go kill him. So let's get to it.
And now we're back onto the landed in prison level, as here we are trying to get these 3 trophies, and this one in particular was causing me so much aggro, to the point I spent an entire hour on this one trophy. The first one we unlocked was Silent and Deadly. In the same room where you stealth kill one of Sinister's clones, you also have to stealth kill 3 bad guys, and after stealth killing each enemy with a different weapon, the trophy pops.
This just might be a little overkill.
And the next trophy we earned sounds harder than it actually is, and we just had to play through the level without dodging or countering any attacks. The hardest part of this trophy is where you're fighting Blockbuster, as this fight relies on the counter to stun him. Luckily the flash grenades do the same thing, so we managed to dispatch a Blockbuster and finish the rest of the mission for the trophy. This then brings us back to the Fish Out of Water trophy, and the worst thing about this trophy is that when you fall into the water, you have to replay the mission. For some unknown reason, restarting the checkpoint will not work, so every time I failed I had to replay the first 15 minutes every single time. But while going for this trophy, I saw it's the perfect opportunity to earn this trophy. And all you have to do is cook a grenade long enough that it blows up in your hand while you kill a few enemies with it. Times trying, we eventually managed to get the fish out of water trophy.
Ooh, we love huge chests. Ooh.
The next trophy is very easy to do. We're back in the mission with Death, and while doing the See No Evil, Hear No Evil and Speak No Evil missions, you just have to do the Carnival one last, as this sees you finish the level with a pirate hat, unlocking the R-rated trophy.
What is this strange new world Death has presented us with?
Now onto the next trophy, which sees you having to bank a 300 hit combo, and this trophy honestly was putting me on the brink of going insane. So not only did I get over a 300 combo on a few different occasions, the trophy would not pop, and I was so close to just giving up completely at this point. But the game must have sensed I was about to stop, as it then decided that this next attempt was good enough for us to earn the trophy.
Hey, does this smell funny to you? Why? Too much?
Honestly, fuck this game. Luckily, the next two trophies I went for were really easy. The first is collecting all the power-ups in this toilet, which I could have sworn I'd done during my original playthrough. Again, fuck this game. And the next is for shooting this photocopier in this office. And this brings us to the final 6 trophies in the game, 5 of which are related to the final mission in the game. The first we get is for making it through all the floating debris at the start of the mission without falling.
Wow, that citadel is huge.
We then have to get a 75 hit combo in this next section, which was pretty frustrating like everything else in the game. But after some perseverance, we unlocked the trophy. The next trophy was incredibly easy, as we just jump off the edge 10 times for the trophy.
I was bored anyway.
With 3 trophies remaining, we get the easiest of the bunch out the way, as after unlocking every upgrade we become drunk on power. The last 2 trophies that we needed in the game were stackable, so I decided to set out to do just that. One for beating the last mission without dying, and one for beating it with only the pistol and swords. You already know where this is going. Honestly, fuck this game. At least on the first run, we managed to beat the mission using just swords and pistols. And now this meant that the last trophy just required us not to die. We weren't limited to what weapons we could use, so we used our entire arsenal. Finally beating the mission without dying, unlocking the trophy, and finally finishing the game.
Enough!
You are repugnant. Revolting.
I don't really have much to say about this game. I hated it. I never want to play it again. Honestly, fuck this game.